Hello, everybody. Good morning. Welcome back to the European Education and Leadership Week, or welcome if you weren't with us before. It's our fourth day already, and it's actually the International Learning Day. So happy International Learning Day to all of you. We've had already quite the interesting webinars this morning. We had the European Schools Head Association leading a webinar on empowering school leaders and teachers in the use of digital tools in education. And we also had a very interesting webinar by the University of Pécs in Hungary on inclusive AI tools and how they should be always human-based. And now I am very pleased to introduce you to the actual webinar that we all came here for. So we have with us Emma O'Brien, that is going to be the moderator of this webinar. So Emma, I'll just give you the floor straight away and you can kick it off.
Hi everyone, you're very welcome this morning. And we're delighted to be here and welcome you all. So there's three of us here this morning that are working on an Erasmus Plus European Teacher Academy project. So we have Kieran Driscoll from Limerick Clare Education and Training Board, and we have Didier Perret from the University of Rennes. And this is our first event as a project team. So this is just some of the project team, and we're very excited to present kind of a snapshot of the work that we've done to date. So as Sylvia said, I'll be doing the first 5 minutes of an introduction. Then we'll have some discussion about leading digital communities, and then we'll have a few practical examples from Didier about the work that they're doing at the University of Rennes around digital learning communities, and Ciara will give the Irish perspective on that, and Ciara's done a lot of work in that. And then we'll have a panel discussion. So if you have any questions or you want to put any points in, you can type it in the chat. We'll also have a couple of Slidos and breakout rooms and try to make the session as interactive as possible. So we really hope you enjoy it. And Ciara is actually going to share the slides on our behalf. So maybe we'll kick everything off, and as I said, I'll be moderating the chat. So you'll only see me for the first 5 minutes, and we would welcome any feedback. So this session is based on our work on digital learning communities and looking at how we can support educational leaders and teachers as agents of change. So Diana Lollard argues the need to view teaching as a design science. So this is the introduction. So I'm just going to give an overview of the. No, go on, Ciara. I was too enthusiastic there. So I'm going to talk about learning communities, just kind of give a flavour of the research to date in terms of a systematic literature review we've done and professional interviews. Then we're going to have a quick discussion, and then Didier is going to talk about a regional digital professional learning community in Brittany, and Ciara is going to talk about a digital learning community for curriculum leaders in Ireland, and then we'll have the panel discussion. Do you want to move on there? So Diana Lollard, as I said, argues the need for teaching to be viewed as this design science, and that educators' role is one that is responsible for designing a learning environment, in particular learning space, digital and physical material, instructions and tools to make student learning possible. And I really love this quote from Ramsden that talks about the role of the teacher as one of making student learning possible. And if we simplify it in that perspective, and we kind of bear that in mind today, it should kind of look at how we can orchestrate spaces to make learning possible, and maybe the role of the leader in digital learning communities in terms of making professional learning possible. So I suppose this, I think we'll stay on the same one, Ciara. Sorry. I'll just say to move. Is that okay? Yeah. So digital learning technologies and tools should be criticised from this perspective, and look at how we can use them to make student learning possible. So I suppose this requires inquiry, it requires changes to practice, but also enables us or encourages us to empower the teachers to take and make evidence-informed risks and learn from these. So I suppose this is our goal within the Ideal Futures project as part of the learning community. So if you want to move on there, Ciara. Sorry, thank you. So the Ideal Futures project is based on this mindset, and we adopt a design-based research approach. And the first stage is looking at empathizing with teachers and leaders from their perspective in terms of the challenges they face regarding digital learning, but also engaging in transformative professional learning. So we're adopting this design mindset within our research. And one of the first stages has been a systematic literature review, in which we're reviewing almost 2,000 articles on professional learning that supports digital transformation. So I suppose this is kind of just the first step of that process, and giving you a snapshot of this. Do you want to move, Kira? Sorry, thank you. So I suppose supporting educators and education leaders as change agents require not only developing teacher capacity to develop the transformative learning environment, but also the organizational capacity. So in this section, I'm going to look at transformative professional learning communities, and the literature around that, and digital professional learning communities and how they can be supported, and teachers and leaders can be supported in a digital environment. So it's a really quick kind of overview of the factors that might support digital transformative professional learning communities. So do you want to move there, Kira? So in terms of leading transformation within professional learning communities, I suppose the first thing that has arisen is, when we want to support educators as change agents, we can develop the teacher capability to make change, but we also need their capacity to do so. So we can develop the learning and provide the capacity for them to act as change agents, but we also need to provide a transformative teaching environment that enables them apply that learning in practice. And that's really important, and something that we don't think about. Sometimes we think about the learning and how to transform mindset, but if we don't give the teachers the opportunity to make those changes, it limits them in a way, and kind of disempowers them. And I know different educational systems have different approaches, and teachers have different learning levels of autonomy. So you'll see in Ireland, teachers have a lot of autonomy, and in France, today we'll talk about the teacher context there, and the role they play in making change. The second thing talks about reciprocity, and the social exchange theory by Homans argues that people weigh the value of relationships. So when you're deciding to be part of a community, you weigh up, the amount of effort you're going to put in, and what you're going to get out. And there does need to be kind of a bi-directional benefit for everybody, if we want to have this culture of change. So we need to encourage everybody to openly share knowledge with different experience, so everybody benefits. The next thing is about creating a vision. So having the professional learning community to have an idea of what they want to achieve, goals they're working towards. And it's really important that it's not separate from everyday practice, that it will help them and support them to make changes to their practice. So it's about enabling the members to co-create a vision, goals for themselves, and the values that they perceive, in order for the community to operate in a cohesive manner. And the fourth thing is, most or a lot of these professional learning communities are to do with knowledge exchange. But if we want real transformation to take place, we need to have this critical dialogue, and we need to encourage participants to be intellectually stimulated, and to do this, questioning and looking at reflection on your own beliefs, and challenging people about the norms or common practices. But we really need a safe space to do that. So leadership really plays a key place here in constructing appropriate language for critical dialogue, in order to protect members' self-confidence. So if you want to move there again, Kira. So how is this done in the digital learning community? So I suppose when you think of digital learning communities, there's a perception that they're kind of impersonal, but they do provide a number of different advantages. So, but when we engage in professional learning communities, they kind of limit us to what's available to us locally. They don't enable us to encourage or seek interorganizational knowledge and different cultural perspectives. So by opening up communities to digital space, it enables us to have a far further reach, enables us to contact people from different backgrounds, different cultures, different educational systems, and develop this further. However, they are quite difficult, and we need to kind of look at critical factors to enable this. So big thing is space, and I suppose if we look at the provision of space and how space can connect people in different ways, I suppose the most common framework used for this is the concept of presence. So Garrison and Anderson's community inquiry. So there needs to be a sense of present where people are present in social, emotional, and cognitive ways. I suppose in a physical environment, presence can be seen. So we can see people, we can sense people, we can see people's belongings, we can, get a smell of somebody that was there. But when people engage in these distributed learning communities, they need to be co-present in different ways. So this could be like co-present in physical spaces or digital spaces or both. But we need to leave a footprint of people so people know that they're co-present in some way. And I suppose presence is really complex in a digital professional learning community, because sometimes people aren't present in the same place at the same time, and they're not always present in the same modality of space. So we need to think about what presence means for each individual. Are they physically present? Are they digitally present? What kind of digital footprint they need? How can we support them to coexist? So I suppose presence is a larger part of learning is becoming, and it requires these interconnections between place and pedagogy to facilitate these connections between people. So I suppose when we think of the leader in a digital learning community, it's more about looking at how we orchestrate and design spaces for people to connect with each other and be present with each other and enabling them to share knowledge. And I suppose considering things like the immediacy of setting up relationships so people can connect as soon as possible, scaffolding relationships in the early stage to encourage them to share knowledge, and encouraging meaningful exchange. So I see Axel here in the chat, trying to encourage that presence and space and immediacy and that building relationship. And I know there's limited stuff we can do in an hour, but we will try to do that. So Ciara, do you want to move to the next slide? So I think I've done all that. Sorry, the next slide. It's my fault. So I suppose we'll have a short discussion now. So what we will do is we'll put people into breakout rooms of 4 and 5 for 10 minutes. We have two kind of Slido's discussions that Axel is going to share. So Diana Lawler described teaching as a design science, and Ramsden stated the role of the teaching is to make learning possible. So we were thinking that maybe you could talk about the role of the leader in a professional learning community and what role you see them playing. And then the other tricky one is how we support meaningful and critical dialogue and how the leader can enable that. So we'll put you into rooms for 10 minutes. Please stay in your rooms until you're called back. The Teams will automatically bring you back to the room in 10 minutes, and then we'll show the Slido and we'll have a short discussion around that. Hi everyone, welcome back. I think people are just making their way back now. We'll just wait a few minutes. Welcome back, everyone. So we're going to actually ask you maybe to put a quick kind of response in Slido and see what other groups have been speaking about, and then we'll kind of look at the results and we'll have a chat about those. So thank you, Axel. So the first question is about the role of the leader in the learning community. What's their role and where they're located in the community? So we'll just give you a couple of minutes to answer that, and then we might look at the answers. Great, thank you.
We see as well, Emma, on the top some keywords that came up from all the responses. So leader, community, teacher.
Great, thank you, Sylvia. And maybe Ciara and Didier might want to come in here.
Yeah, I think what's really interesting there that it was highlighted, and the first thing that struck me as well was the concept of a leader. That a leader can be the classroom teacher, doesn't necessarily mean the sort of the principal or the head of school. So that was interesting to come through there.
Thanks, Ciara. Didier, yeah.
And sometimes yeah, to get things done, it's sometimes better to have someone just like you, just the same teacher, trying to change their practices, while it can be too challenging to meet an expert or to meet someone very high in their practices compared to yours. So yeah, a leader, sometimes, I will talk about it a bit later, yeah, it's not only someone in charge.
And I think we had a few questions and we prepared them back, but one of the questions we had was, how can we support other people to be leaders, or multiple leader roles? And as part of our Ideal Futures, we're setting up our digital hub at the moment, and we're looking at the different roles in the community and what that might look like. So there might be different leadership roles, or we also wondered, like, you know, how do we encourage teachers or community people to undertake leadership? Do you want to come in there, Ciara?
Yeah, and that I suppose the ultimate role of the leader as well, if they are, you know, to nurture other leaders who do have particular interest in that professional learning area. But also, I think it's coming through a lot of the comments there, is that they should be part of it. It was mentioned that they should be facilitating it, but that they should be playing an active role in professional dialogue and the professional learning as part of the community. And I think it was mentioned a few times there as well that it has to be sort of, you know, it should be really, time should be given to it, and that it's not an ad hoc thing there, that it should be regular meetings, seeing the first comment there. So yeah, it's kind of that role of the leader being part of it, but also sort of nurturing other leaders who might propel it further, or get into that safe shared space where maybe smaller groups feel more comfortable kind of opening up and talking about their values, you know.
Axel, will we open the second one and maybe have a chat about this? And maybe this could replace our panel discussion, because I think we'd be short for a bit of time, and I know Ciara and Didier have a lot to get through. So thank you, Axel. So there's loads of comments there again. I don't know, does Didier and Ciara want to come in there? Or?
Yes, that's one main point, is to learn about the other cultures. In order to talk together, there's a first to know how it works in the other countries, maybe.
I think
and I know, sorry,
sorry, Emma. No, go ahead. I just think it's a challenging question, I think, and there's some brilliant suggestions there, you know, but about the difficult is making that connection. But even, I suppose, how technology can facilitate through the translation tools that are becoming a lot more embedded now. I mean, hopefully should help, but I think that, like Didier mentioned, that shared understanding and respect for where each are coming from. But if everyone has I mean, for it to be a community, for it to have some kind of a shared purpose, I think would be helpful, you know, that you're kind of working towards the same thing, but respecting each other's different contexts and cultural differences. But some excellent suggestions there.
And one thing I noticed somebody said about interesting topics for people to get excited about, intellectual stimulation is really important.
Yeah.
And encouraging that intellectual stimulation for people to get into, you know, to invite them in, but also and so if someone says a bit of fun, you do need that social relationship element as well. So you know, the intellectual stimulation is really good, and but the socialization and sustaining that can be quite difficult over time, and then encouraging people to challenge each other. But I suppose that only comes when as people get comfortable with each other and know that the boundaries that they can push, and how, you know, to respect those boundaries, and also, as people are saying, cultural differences. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go over to Didier. We might not do the panel discussion at the end because we had quite a bit of discussion here. So we're going to see a bit of how this has been implemented in practice in two contexts. So Didier is going to talk a little bit about the French context, and Ciara is going to talk a little bit about the Irish context. So I'll be moderating the chat if anybody has any questions you want us to facilitate at the end.
So I'm Didier Perret, and we can move on the next slide. Our team is working for 10 years now on digital technologies. It's a multidisciplinary research program which has been going through, and with quite a diverse example from education, training, higher education, and professional in medical social environment. And this project built an anthropological approach to use this inside and outside institutional environment. I will pass to the next one to gain a few minutes. What I'm going to talk about is part of a specific project who was going from 2017 to 2021, were quite a lot, 55 junior and senior researchers, and coming from a wide area of subject: sociology, anthropology, didactics, psychology, economics, education sciences, and geography. And we'll move on to the other one. If there's question later on, I could come back. So the main point to talk about today was the research field. In France, in the academic region of Brittany, in 2017, we tried to put up what we called coopérative pédagogique numérique in French, which would be digital pedagogical cooperatives. And this design was made in order to get an innovative teacher training plan. This plan put cooperation and collaborative learning at the center of the training activities, and the teachers were allowed by their own to join the activities organized in specific places called the cooperative, which were classroom adapted to in-service teachers for training teachers, and it was based inside the schools. So we had 4 in Brittany, one in a senior secondary school, one in a junior secondary school, and one in a primary school in each of the 4 towns of Rennes, Lannion, Brest, and Lorient. Each time there was a teacher trainer put in an animation of the program of the place, and he was helped with 2 to 5 teacher trainers and 2 students. Okay, we can move on to the next slide. 2 informations about what we used to collect and to analyze the informations. So click. The theoretical frame is based on 2 models. The first model is called appropriation path and mediation, and the entry inside the path can be either from desire, reduce inequalities, transformation in pedagogy, or by constraint, as for the confinement in 2020, with the obligation to engage in distance teaching. There's 4 phases, 4 stages. Each time you can see there's a yellow triangle. The yellow triangle is used to analyze the elements needed to pass from one stage to the other. The first pole is axiologic for values, representation, imaginaries, the professional posture. Praxis is for praxeologic, so we talk about digital practices and pedagogical practices. And psyche is for the psychologic pole, where you can find most of it confidence in your class, confidence in yourself, and acceptability in the digital instrument. It's not a straight path, so you can pass on, Kara, and go to the end to autonomization. Okay, a bit more. Yes, one more. Yes, so teachers can, if the challenge is too high, too difficult for them, go back 1 to several stages in front of difficulties. And the main point, if you can click again, is to see that the the decision to go to the next stage is controlled by the psychological pole. And on the psychological pole, in order to facilitate the change, we identified mediation and third-party people, allowing the technical realization and that there's a social link based on daily use. Okay, we can pass on the next slide. The second part of the theoretical frame is Fernagu, who they work with capabilities, which is based on Amartya Sen work. And this model permits to get how it actually work between the different elements we identified with the previous model. So if you want to accomplish, if you want to make an accomplishment, if you want to practice with digital technologies in your class, you need to make choices about possibilities you can have depending on your opportunities, your means, and your capacities. But to get that environment, you need first to be able to convert resources available, resources that can be knowledge, it could be people, can be a network, that can be equipment, and to convert it as a positive factor. Okay, we can move on next slide. So results. It's qualitative results based on observation and interviews. First stage, the priming step, we can find, in fact, a human third party, which is very important. You can click again and again. Okay, and that human third party for the first stages of the appropriation path is based on the personal network of the teacher. It can be the family, close relatives, it can be very close colleague, close in relation and close in position. If it's 300, 500 meters away in another building, it's not a resource, it's too far away. So we're talking about people in the day-to-day basis environment. Okay, can click again. That person will help to discover new opportunities, to get informal exchanges around a tea, a coffee, during the lunchtime, and it depends on the personal network of the person. Okay, can click again. We saw a specific situation with one teacher not having the people as resource inside her school, but who found links with a specific network on Twitter, which was called Inverting Classroom. Okay, can click again. And from that link, she was able to meet people during a seminar and to build new practices online. Okay, last one, which is a negative conversion factor. We had a physics teacher who was a first year in-service teacher, so brand new teacher, but with a very big, very large experience because he was a PhD in computer science. He had already 5 years of research. He knew how to use a computer, how to use digital technologies, but inside his school, he didn't have any mediator, any people, third-party mediator to help him transform the resources. So if you can click again until one more. Okay, so we have here on the priming step a third party of confidence. It's capacitation towards the next step. And if you don't have that people, you get stuck in the first stages of appropriation. Okay, can change slide. On the confidence step, so second step of the appropriation path, just click everything and I will do the talk. It will be easier for you. Yes, a bit more. Should be fine. Stop. So on the second step, and we enter on the experience we've been following between 2017 and 2021, the cooperative. It was first tested in 2015 in a specific college, specific junior secondary school, and it was called co-animation. We had 2 teacher trainers based inside the school with 6 hours per week for one person, 3 hours per week for the other person, able to help on a day-to-day basis before the session to talk about what's going to be happening, what technology you will choose inside the session, during the session, to help with the technology as technical mediation, and after the session to do a debrief and to see how to make the proper choices. Inside the cooperative, we had students 35 hours per week inside the schools, 3 weeks per month, and they were able to do coaching on a one-to-one basis with, again, time before the session, time during the session, and time after the session. And there we see that that third party permits to change the axiologic pole and to help the psychologic pole to activate in order to make new practices. So we've got mediation as explicitation, how you're going to do it, why you're going to do it, and technical mediation for the equipment. Okay, so we've got positive converting factors in each cases. Next slide, please. And you can develop all the things. So if we make a conclusion on the 4 phases, we've got people identified for each of the phases. And the 2 first stages of the appropriation path is in the school, in the closed environment. And it's not institutional. It's in the private or personal network of each of teachers. The proper expert, teacher trainer, comes in the next 2 stages. And if we think about that, there's a big gap between, in France, what's put by the institution as training facilities, which are very good if you're already engaged in a transformation and you already arrived to construction stages, but it doesn't permit or helps the first stages of appropriation. Okay?
Thank you, Didier.
Thanks, Didier. So I think you've really captured the complexities of networks and the role of different people and the internal and external network. So thank you for that. So any questions, just type them in the chat. We're going to go over to Ciara now, who will talk a little bit about the Irish context. But if you've any questions, just type them in the chat and we'll take them at the end. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you, Didier. As Emma mentioned there, my name is Ciara and I'm a science teacher and assistant principal. I lead technology enhanced learning in a school that's also a member of the Limerick and Clare Education Training Board, known as the LCETB. So we're one of 17 multi-denominational post-primary community colleges in Limerick and Clare. I'm also a member of the support team in the LCETB, and as a support team member, I coordinate a community of practice for our digital leaders across the 17 schools. And today I'd like to talk to you about my experience as a member of a community of practice, as a curriculum leader and a lead on the community practice with digital leaders, and how this has supported me to develop a professional learning community in my own school with professional learning embedded in a culture as a learning organisation. So ETB schools are state, co-educational, multi-denominational schools underpinned by the core values of in excellence in education, care, equality, community and respect. These values are shared amongst all members and are evident in our schools. This shared vision provides the foundation which supports our schools as learning organisations. We have clusters of teacher leaders from each school coming together in different community practices that foster a culture of collaboration, continuous learning and shared expertise. Here's a snapshot of one of our schools in the LCTB that shows how the vision and the values are lived day to day. So this school, which is a school I teach in, is a one-to-one iPad school with technology embedded throughout the culture. So here it goes.
In Gael Closh Limni, we aim to motivate students to lead, learn and strive for success in a constantly changing environment. We provide them with the tools and support they need to face challenges with a sense of resilience and pride in themselves and their school community. To ensure that we continue to innovate and provide the highest quality learning experience for our students, we look to our teachers who have nurtured a professional learning community centred on student learning. That includes student voice and participation throughout all of their inquiries and discoveries.
Students collaborate alongside teachers as we grow together to form new meanings of our world given the rapid pace of change. Technology allows for our teachers to support from the side and let the students take centre stage in their own learning journey.
Our teachers are expert educators in relation to their use of technology in learning. Not only do they share their expertise in our school, but they also share with other educators locally, nationally and internationally through our local education centre, neighbouring universities and of course globally facilitated through technology.
We view each student as unique and celebrate their individuality, ensuring that their learning is personalised to their own needs, not only academically but socially and emotionally. Technology allows our students to stretch their creativity, collaborate and learn together wherever they may be.
So that was a little snapshot into my own school there and how we use technology day to day. But as I mentioned in the LCTB, we have support teams that coordinate different community practices. I'm a member of the curriculum leaders and I lead the digital leaders community of practice. But systems are in place to ensure that time and space are prioritised for teacher leaders to meet and collaborate. So in the case of the curriculum leaders, we have 2 curriculum leaders, teacher leaders per school, who have a role in self-evaluation focused on quality teaching, learning and assessment. And digital learning plays a significant role in this community of practice. The teachers in the school have 1 to 2 weekly timetable periods in their timetable that facilitates professional dialogue and inquiry, and this depends on the size of the school. There are 3 cluster meetings per year in person where all 17 schools come together for a day of sort of critical reflection, professional dialogue, collaboration and inquiry. And in the case of the Digital Leaders COP, we use the selfie survey, the EU selfie survey in our schools to analyse our data collectively and to share experience and expertise. And finally, the support team provides 3 online check-in meetings to each school individually and to discuss their own context in relation to their self-evaluation process. And in my own role as in the digital leaders, I sort of turn to my mentors in the curriculum leaders COP who have developed these COP for nearly 10 years. And Dr. Joe O'Connell, actually, who started this COP, came up with this sort of model to help me as such and other new members coming on board, creating their own COPs in how to maybe maintain a COP. Now, the key feature is that this is cyclical, as it facilitates the induction of new people at various stages. So what's important here is the need to revisit stages and hence promoting ownership and increased participation according to Joe. So in level 1, we identify the common purposes and goals, mediate understanding of the goals. We also clarify the objective targets within each goal and design actions to match the targets. Then moving on to level 2 as time progresses, which is the power of the collective. And here we encourage active participation through an inclusive and safe environment, which Emma mentioned earlier on, where we're ready to share challenges as well as successes. We plan a range of activities to promote connectivity. We leverage technology to promote connectivity also and promote knowledge sharing. Moving on then to level 3 is active agency. So keeping members up to date and engaged through updates. We recognise and celebrate all achievements within the group membership of these leaders and provide resources. So we support them as leaders in their own schools and coordinate the membership and keep a connection going between all of the schools. Level 4 then we evaluate and adapt. So periodically we assess the community practices effectiveness, gather feedback from the members and adapt strategies according to meeting evolving needs. And then for level 5 is maintaining the momentum. So here it's keeping the enthusiasm and engagement high by regularly introducing new challenges, discussions and projects within the COP. We promote collaboration, and this is the part that we're always ongoing and working on, is the promotion of the collaboration between schools within the community of practice, and encourage them to work on projects, research and initiatives fostering that broader connection and impact. So through the support of this community of practice, I've been empowered myself to develop a professional learning community in my own school with our team. As you can see there, there's a variety of different methods of professional learning that takes place in our school. So we have embedded over the last number of years peer observation, and with all of this is technology, because we are technology is embedded in everything that we do. We have mentoring, coaching, we have class-based action research happening throughout the entire school community. We really encourage teacher further studies and celebrate those, and we are very, very active online too, so we can connect beyond our school and beyond the country even. So I'll just give you another snapshot into the school where you can see our professional learning community in action.
In Gael Cláiste Limni, optimising our students' learning is both our anchor and our guiding star. We depend on our learners to point the way, and we ensure that they are involved in every decision that we make that will impact their learning, from planning our new school, self-evaluation and ongoing research.
We use GarageBand to make a little beat to go along with the verbs, so that it would stick in your head for longer.
Our school community is built on collaboration, where students and teachers work in teams to create new knowledge, in a culture that embraces research and problem solving as a cyclical process that never stops questioning ourselves and the world around us.
Learning goes far beyond the classroom and school building. Our students work closely with local community, industry, colleges and universities to broaden their understanding of the world. We strive to nurture a culture where students have agency and autonomy, creating independence in their own unique learning journey. Leaning on a universal design for learning, empowered through technology, we can see personalised learning happening all around us. We believe that creativity is a core skill that enables meaningful critical thinking and problem solving, which are necessary in today's rapidly evolving world. Technology enables our students to express themselves in innovative ways and to create original, authentic knowledge through research and project-based learning.
And then there's just one more short clip.
In GCL, we use learning analytics tools to track student progress and identify areas where they need improvement. We also use focus groups, interviews and surveys to gather feedback from students and adjust our learning environment according to the students' needs.
When I'm away on camps, competitions and training abroad, I think with the use of our technology, I find it really easy to be able to continue working online with all my work, getting all my assignments in and keeping in contact with the teachers as well. In the classroom, something as simple for me as being able to use the iPads for the simple Zoom feature, or to be able to take photos of the board. It allows me to be able to know fully what's going on and to be able to participate fully in the class.
We capture best practice happening in our school. We share this learning with staff and the wider community through our social media channels. We've created a series called Looking at Our Learning that we release throughout the year.
We view our school as a dynamic learning organisation.
where teachers are enabled to work and learn individually and collectively to build their professional learning capacity in order to support continuous improvement in teaching and learning. We have a well-integrated system of evaluation that combines the external perspective with the reflective and collective insights of school leaders, teachers, parents and students.
We believe that our impact is not just measured by what we achieve, but also by our positive contribution to the larger society. We are dedicated to realising our vision, where every student who joins our school leaves as a passionate, lifelong learner and who believes in their potential to succeed in this world.
So thank you very much for your time and attention. And if there's any questions at all, I'd be delighted to answer them. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now. Is that okay?
Thanks, Ciara. And it's something that we forgot to talk about in the students as part of the learning community if we're talking about learners. So you've given us such an insight into how you work with your students as part of your professional learning as well as with other teachers. So that's absolutely fantastic. Thank you, Ciara. So any questions, just type them in the chat there. There's one question about the difference between cooperation and collaboration and projects and how you differentiate between that.
If I try to answer that, so differentiation comes between the stages of the path. Cooperation is more on the first and second stage, where you need local people, you need safe environment, you need to be in your school, you need to be in your environment, the one you know. When you go to collaboration, it's more on the third and fourth stage. You're already confident and you're already able to share something. So on the self-confidence is quite a main point between cooperation and collaboration. And the place of the third party sometimes, if it's based inside the school, it should be able to engage collaboration in the first stages, even if the teachers are not completely confident in what they're trying to do. That's what we saw in some of the cooperative, in some of the schools where those communities were organized. But sometimes it's quite limited to, let's say, I used to be a teacher in biology and geology, and inside the biology department, you can work 5-6 teachers. Even if you just started with digital technology, you talk to your colleague, which are the next room. But if you're whatever math teacher or history teacher in another building, somewhere quite away from the person who is a resource, it will be more difficult for you to be able to build that community. And you might come out for collaboration once you're more confident and you're constructed already several practices with your class, with your student.
Thanks so much for that today. I think we have to finish here because we're after running a bit over, but really thank you to the European Leadership Network team and the European Employers Association. Thank you so much for supporting us through this, and we're really delighted, and we can share slides or anything like that, Sylvia and Axel, with you. But thanks so much for everything, and we're privileged for the opportunity to present our work. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you to all the speakers and for Emma moderating the chat. I saw there that you were having a conversation with some of the participants. So it was great to have you. We will definitely share the presentations. And thank you as well to Ciara for those videos. This is what I love the most. So I personally enjoy them a lot. And I visited quite a few schools also from the education training boards in Ireland. That are an FE member. So it brought me many memories and I really, really enjoyed it. And I would just like to invite you all to join us as well for the next webinar happening at 1:45, if I'm not mistaken, Brussels time. You have the link in the chat to register. And we still have 3 webinars to go today on the International Learning Day. So really, you're all invited to come join us, and we will be happy to have you there. So again, thank you very much, Emma, Didier, Chiara, and it was a pleasure.
Okay, thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.